Hi everyone, it's the Geekle Node.js Web Summit, and we're now at the one of first web conferences ever. We are happy to see you, all of you here, and we are happy to see our speakers. Now we are starting our second Q&A session on the junior track. Our lovely colleague Armando will moderate this session. And we're now getting into the Q&A session. So welcome, Olivier and Markus. How are you guys?
Fine.
Cool. We are ready to start asking the questions, but before that, I would just like to remind that we are happy to get any help that is possible, just to get any translations to local languages. It will be a good contribution to sharing the knowledge that you can get. Also, keep in mind that soon we are going to release the Java conference, so you can start buying the blind tickets. And in the end, we are thankful to our sponsors, Salesforce, Heroku. Thank you. And yeah, I guess we can start with the questions. You can see the first one. So, Olivier, is big int also max value after which it behaves abnormal like number?
Yes, I think there is, of course, a big, a maximum value. I'm trying to find it. I'm not sure of which the value is.
Okay, I'm not sure if that answered the questions. But we have another one for you already. We already have 3 questions. People are very interested in it. Another one is that Naveen Kumar is asking if nullish can be used for some cases of ternary operator instead of the ternary operator, right?
Yes, yes, you can use it like this. It's quite useful in this case for default value.
Yeah, totally. Okay. We have another question for you as well, which is which version of Node.js supports the Ecmascript 2020 features out of the box?
I think Node 14 supports it well.
Okay, cool. Let me check something else. Just a moment. Okay, cool. Oliver, we have another question for you. What's the ever-running cat in your toolbar?
So it's called RunCat. It's an extension for macOS. Basically, the more the cat runs, the more my CPU is used.
Okay, very cool. Markus, this one's for you. Regarding to Ecmascript modules, is it currently working just for local modules? What if I want to load a public npm module from the browser? Something like import everything from Lodash.
Also, that you can import a model directly from an URL. It's a question.
If you can load it from the URL, no, I think it's it's just how is it currently working just for local modules? Like if you want to load an npm module.
If you download an npm module and then you want to use it in a browser, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
There's some questions for Vasil as well. People are asking how they can help with the translation efforts.
Oh, that's great. First question to me. Brilliant. Yeah. All right. So guys, please send a message. You can send a direct message to myself, or you can actually send an email to just to our company. And then our team will contact you shortly. The only thing, please specify which language are you ready to do the translation, and we will contact everyone very soon. It will take a few days for sure, because we're quite busy now, but please be sure that we will contact everyone. Thanks a lot.
Please raise up your volume. That's why you're not listening anything. Just a hands up. Another questions, just a shout out here. People we have a Q&A tab into the chat itself, which is very nice that you can just upvote other people's questions. So if possible, just use that one so you can have a better track of the questions. There's another question how does this dynamic import work with bundlers? Let's say I want to import a package based on the environment. Let's say I want to import a package A for the web and package B for Node.js. Do these bundlers include both files, or dynamic import provide any easiness? I think this one is from Markus.
All right. I'm not sure if I can answer that question. Can you repeat it once more?
Yeah, basically, Mert wants to know how dynamic imports work with bundlers, and in different environments. Let's say you have a module that you want to load only in the web and another module that you just want to load in a Node.js environment. If you're using dynamic imports, does the bundler will include both files, or the dynamic import will include some kind of logic to just load them in the necessary environments?
Oh, I'm not sure if I can answer it. I guess it depends on how the bundler is implemented and which options you can give the bundler along. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure if I can give a correct answer on that.
Okay, yeah, no problem at all. Olivier, how do you manage version updates in your company, like Node, Ecmascript, React, etc.? What's the frequency of your updates?
Okay, so it depends. So there are different type of updates. First one is based on the long-term support of the different tools we are using. For example, let's say we're talking about Node. So I think there is a release every October. So we will try to progressively switch to the latest version starting on the new LTS support. And if we are talking about refactoring, that's a big question. On the framework side, we're trying to do it progressively.
Great. Yeah, I feel like that's usually most companies usually do, just wait for a version to get an LTS, but just keep a track of the newest versions, try the experimental modules, but never really put them in production before they're in long-term support. I feel like that's a good practice, by the way. Okay, what is the difference between knowledge coalescing and the ternary operator?
I can answer on that. So the knowledge coalescing operator, it just look at the item on the left side if it's null or undefined. Whereas the ternary operator is looking if it's true or false.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, what else do we have here? What's the advantage of using Ecmascript 6 modules imports and not CommonJS?
If you use ES modules, which is more and more the standard, then of course you want to be in that environment and make use of the imports with ES 6 module syntax. And also, yeah. So if you have only one CommonJS module left, which you depend on, but everything else is already an ES module in your environment, then you will use the ES module syntax to import this CommonJS package.
Okay. I hope that answers the question. What else we have? Oh, I have a question actually for Markus, as I am a Node.js developer also myself. I wonder, how would you deal with the runtime errors towards using the MJS extensions in newer versions? Because nowadays, if you just use a newer version without using the module JavaScript extensions, you get a bunch of errors. How would you deal with that? Would you refactor everything? Would you set the type to module in the package.json? How would you do that?
If you want to use an ES module, but you didn't use the MJS extension. Is that the correct question?
Yeah.
Cool. Tricky question. typically you won't be in a situation because a new ES module is written with the MGS extension, so we shouldn't be in that situation, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like more like usually, if you use like Node.js from a 13 version top like now, and you try to use like an import, you have like a JavaScript file with an import clause in the beginning, the engine will actually complain, telling you that you need that to be actually a module. How do you deal with that?
Okay. Yeah, like if you know that you use ES module somewhere along the dependency graph, it's probably the best case to like use a Node.js version which has full support for ES modules.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. Let's see what we have more questions here. Where exactly can we use Big Int? How efficient is it?
Oh, well, how efficient is it? I'm not sure about the benchmark of them, but basically you are going to use it every time you want to do something on the transactional part, like when you are managing transaction regarding money, regarding like a virtual wallet or something like that. I think it will be really useful to use Big Int in these cases. Or for example, if you want to maybe calculate VAT of items. Most of the time, you have to do that when you are working with e-commerce. That's the thing to use in this case.
Okay, thank you so much. We're having a lot of questions like more related like to Node.js and TypeScript right now. But there's one that I found particularly interesting, which is like, why do we have to do a HTTP server to run while using Ecmascript 6 based modules? What's the server role in loading the index.html? I'm not sure exactly what this means though. But I wonder if this person is assuming that you need to use like an index.html file to actually start the server or something like that. I'm not sure if that's what this person means. There's an interesting one. What do you folks suggest new Node.js developers to start with?
Markus, you want to go?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't understand it, like acoustically.
What do you suggest new Node.js developers to start with?
Still, I didn't get it. It's like a very bad connection right now, kind of.
No worries. So, yeah, imagine that. Remember yourself when you were young and just started. So, what would you recommend to the new developers to start with?
Yes. I can go. Well, it depends. I would say that the most difficult thing in Node.js, in JavaScript in general, is about asynchronous flow. So maybe I would start really simple, using only synchronous, and then I will move forward to asynchronous flow, like promises, async await, and stuff like that. Maybe using a generator function between both parts, so I can understand a bit more what is asynchronous and how it works. And I would say maybe to get started, the easiest way now would be to go with maybe something like serverless function, because it's a reduced server, HTTP server, so it's easier to work with. Instead of having like a big server with a lot of routes and controllers and stuff like that. So I will recommend starting with serverless and maybe something easy, like working with a crude operation like delete, post, put, update. So you can work with HTTP a little, and then move to something a bit harder, which is promises and asynchronous.
Cool. Thank you so much. As we've been talking also about promises, there was a question for you to explain what's the difference between promise.all and promise.all settled.
Okay. Well, promise.all is resolving when all the promises are resolving. So it means, let's say I have 3 promises, P1, P2, and P3. Promise all will resolve if all of these promises individually resolves. In the case of all settled, it does not mean it will resolve. It means it's finished. So ever it resolves, ever it fails or it rejects. So all settles will resolve when all the promises are finished, ever rejected or ever resolved. Whereas promise.all will resolve only if all the promises are resolved.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. Let me see. Please, folks, it would be lovely if you just don't spam the channel. Like, let's see, like, just make your question once, and let's see if other folks are interested in it just by upvoting it. I feel like that way we can enjoy this Q&A session much more. There's a question here, like. There was one for Markus. Yes, this one. And in which case is UMD preferred over AMD?
If you want to write a package which should be used in the browser as well as in a Node.js environment. So because AMD, I mean, you can use a model loader so that you can use AMD with Node.js, but that's just an additional burden. So when you use UMD, UMD exposes it as a common JS model when it detects that it's running in a Node.js environment, and so you can use it directly. And it also checks that, okay, now I'm running in a browser, I have AMD support, and it exposes this package as an AMD package. And if there's no AMD export, for example, it can also, as a fallback, push everything onto the global namespace. So it just tries to find different model loaders. And once it finds one, it uses that to expose your library. Whereas with AMD, you're just stuck with one model specification.
Thank you so much. Okay, there's a fun question that I usually see a lot around. Like, do you prefer to use like promise.then syntax, or you prefer to use the async await syntax? Are there use cases when one is better than the other?
I can go. So in this case, I would prefer using async await because I think the syntax is cleaner, and I think I have seen all the different ways of doing the same thing in JavaScript, like starting with callbacks and then doing the same thing using promises and then using the .then, .catch syntaxes, and doing the same thing using async await, and the code is much cleaner and much more shorter too.
Yeah, I totally agree with Oliver's answer. So async await makes it much more readable than having all these then blocks with the final catch block at the end. And you can also use a normal try catch block, which you use for synchronous code as well. And that makes it very nice to use.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, there's a question here from Vishal, which is I think he really wants to hear this from us. Is it okay to start with Node.js as a beginner backend language?
As a beginner language?
Yeah.
I would agree. Like you can.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I think it's a nice way of doing like isomorphic language. Like you have JavaScript on the front end and JavaScript on the back end. As a developer point of view, it's easier to have like the same language on both sides, and also most of the time you can share codes between both sides. So I think it's really useful, and as a first language, yes, why not? Yeah.
Lovely. Well, I have more questions around the Ecmascript 2020. Like, what is the difference between the knowledge coalescing operator and the which one? Sorry, and the logical operator, like the OR operator? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the OR operator basically returns true if any of the value return true, and false if there is only one. Whereas the nullish coalescing operator is more about null or undefined. It's only for these two values.
Okay. Okay, there's a kind of funky question here. Seems like most asynchronous or promises stack trace libraries are inefficient to run in production. What is the state of better asynchronous stack tracers?
Well, it depends. I saw recently a benchmark about promises, and what I saw is native promise were getting worse inside the node different versions. So like at Node 10, Node 12, Node 14, it was getting worse and worse. Whereas async await was getting a bit better. And surprisingly, Bluebird, the world famous NPM module, was having the best performance. So you can, I think there is at this time an issue inside the Node GitHub. You can check about Promises performances.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Nice.
This is another question from Markus. I think it revolves around, again, like a bit of my first question. How did you manage the transition from CommonJS to Ecmascript modules?
All right. Yeah, like if you created modules and you already published them on NPM, probably one way to go around this just to use an existing tool, a transformer, and to translate it in the new ES module syntax, and then republish it. Or another way to go with would be the dual package mode, so that you create a package which has the CommonJS and the ES module package in it. And then you could add a package.json where you say that default is still the CommonJS package, so that you don't break anything. And I guess it's safe then to like publish this package, and other people who want to make use of the ES modules just do a deep import of the ES module in their code base.
Great. I think we have another question for you again, Markus. This is from Juan. If I create some NPM library with Ecmascript 6 modules, Node.js apps with older versions will still be able to use it?
Which version? Older one?
Like old versions of Node.js would be able to use my library if I created it using Ecmascript 6 modules.
Like if it's created in ES6 module, then it's not going to work with an older version. Like you can use it with 8.5 ongoing, but only when you provide the flag, and only with version 13.2, it's safe to use the ES module without the flag. So there's no way back.
Yeah, you would have to transpile it and generate like an universal module definition, I guess, right?
Yes, that would work, like going back to CommonJS.
Yeah. See what else? How are you both feeling so far? Everything okay? Like, how are you feeling like with the questions that are coming so far? Enjoying it? Having a good time?
It's like a trivial pursuit of Node.js.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Oh, that's nice. Well, some people are asking now for references from you, both for both Markus and Oliver. What are good GitHub repositories or websites that every Node.js developer should be following on a weekly or monthly basis?
So like I follow Hacker News or the dev community, and also to browse libraries which I'm interested in, trying to find new ones, giving a lot of stars on GitHub. So I have kind of a bookmark, and just using Google for new stuff I'm interested in.
Okay, that's cool. What about you?
Well, I do a lot of technology watches. So there are different newsletters, like JavaScript Weekly, which is super useful. There is like a niche of each technology for this newsletter. So I'm using Twitter. I'm following some of the core maintainers of Node, core maintainers of React, of Angular, Vue. This is super useful because they are posting tips, and they are also posting and communicating about their work. So you see, you have highlights of what's coming new and what's coming next. So this is super useful. And also there is a super nice GitHub repository, which is called, I think, best practice, JavaScript best practices, which is from Yoni Goldberg, I think. And this one has maybe 500, maybe 1,000 link to all the best practice regarding project structure, security, error handling, code style, and so on.
Yeah, but what you can also use are all these awesomeness GitHub projects. There's for sure a project available on GitHub which says awesome Node.js or awesome JavaScript, and also you can explore projects and then join their Discord channel, of course, for example, and there you also get a lot of news and a lot of information.
Okay, great. Thank you all very much for this input. We still have 3 minutes for a Q&A session. So if there's any question that you feel like that's still not answered, please throw it or upvote it on the Q&A, please. Let me check what else we can find here. Well, there's a question from Mohammed. Can you elaborate optional chaining operator in Ecmascript 2020? It would be great if you had an example.
What does it mean? What does it mean elaborating?
I think you want to understand better, when or for what should I actually use optional chaining operators?
Okay. It's super useful if you have a property inside of your object that you are not sure will be there. So instead of checking using a if, if this property is not indefined, then I will use it. You can use this kind of operator for doing that super cleanly, and it's fast.
Yeah, great. I would say that I would use them also for for basically not having to verify the existence of every nested property into a very complex object tree that would probably not be validated before processing. So in this kind of situations, it's nice for you to just have to go back and use the optional chaining operator, let's say. Well, we still have 1 minute. Let's see. What else we have here? Well, this is interesting promises. Why can't you return, resolve, or reject in a then or catch? How do you get around it?
Sorry?
A person is asking why they cannot use the resolve or reject functions inside of a then or a catch calls.
Or having a promise and doing a van on the premise and not using like resolve or reject inside the van?
Yeah, really using the resolve inside of the then. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you are inside a van, I mean, it's a context of the closure in which you cannot call resolve because it's outside of the function scope. But you can, inside the van, you can throw an error, for example, and it will be catched by the catch inside of it. So I mean, there is other ways of doing what you want to achieve in this case.
Okay, great. So with this, we reached the end of our Q&A session. How are you both feeling after this?
Great.
Awesome.
That's lovely to hear. Well, thank you so much for contributing and for participating on this. I wish you both a great day. And yeah, see you sometime, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay, folks, with this, we finished the Q&A session. And I'm going to pass it to Vasil right now. And yeah.
Obrigado. That was really an amazing moderation. Thank you, Armando. That was great. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this Q&A session and the second block. Now we're gonna have like 10 minutes break, and then we're starting back again. We're starting with our next section. We'll have more people to talk. We'll have more attendees. Now take a quick break, and don't forget to get back just in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.